The AEC Routemaster frustrated many drivers despite its iconic status with passengers. The cramped cab gave little room to adjust during long shifts, making fatigue worse. The open rear platform exposed drivers to freezing winter winds through the cab partition. Getting to mechanical components required extensive disassembly, causing maintenance delays. Drivers who spent years on Routemasters described chronic back problems from the primitive bench seats. While passengers loved the open platform and historic charm, drivers who operated them daily rarely shared that affection. The Daimler Fleetline DMS burned out gearboxes constantly and devoured fuel at alarming rates. Parts became defective far faster than predicted, leaving buses stranded mid-route regularly. Automated fare collection turnstiles broke down so often the entire system was abandoned within a few years. Some buses were withdrawn and scrapped before reaching 10 years, despite costing significantly more than predecessors. Drivers and mechanics alike despised the DMS, despite it working reasonably well for operators outside London, once modifications were removed. The Leyland Titan B-15 represented engineering ambition without practical consideration. Production delays at Park Royal stretched orders into years, frustrating every operator. The sophisticated hydraulic systems and aluminium construction required specialised maintenance few garages could provide. London transport specifications made the Titan too tall for many depots and too complex for standard fleets. The high-tech design bristled with features drivers never needed, and mechanics struggled to access. Other operators cancelled hundreds of orders and bought simpler Olympians instead. The Titan died quietly in 1984, with few mourning its departure. The new Routemaster became a political vanity project disguised as transit innovation. The hybrid system added complexity without delivering promised fuel savings in real service. The third door and conductor platform sat unused after Transport for London cut staffing budgets. The distinctive design made replacement parts expensive and difficult to source quickly. The heating systems struggled in winter, and cooling failed regularly in summer. Drivers found visibility compromised compared to standard double-deckers of the same era. The cost per bus exceeded £355,000, making it one of the most expensive standard buses ever purchased. Many drivers preferred the buses it replaced. The Bristol VRT struggled with rear engine overheating on long climbs, especially when fully loaded. The drop center rear axle gave smooth rides, but created maintenance headaches when components failed. Drivers complained about sluggish acceleration when fully loaded with standing passengers. The Gardner engines were reliable, but underpowered for routes with frequent stops. Gearbox problems developed early, requiring expensive overhauls. Later versions improved slightly, but the fundamental limitations remained. Operators who ran VRTs daily described them as adequate workhorses, but never great buses. The MCW Metrobus entered service, promising modernity, but delivered mediocrity in practice. The aluminum bodywork developed stress cracks around door frames and window pillars. Electrical systems threw random faults that mechanics chased without resolution. The air suspension gave a bouncy, uncomfortable ride that made passengers motion sick. Drivers found the steering heavy and unresponsive compared to Olympians or Titans. Engine access required tilting body panels that often jammed in cold weather. The Metrobus worked adequately when everything functioned, but reliability never matched expectations. Fleet operators grew tired of constant minor failures, adding up to major downtime. The Dennis Trident suffered from rushed development that showed in service performance. Early models had catastrophic gearbox failures that stranded buses regularly. The Cummins engines overheated in stop-and-go city traffic, leaving passengers sweating. Steering geometry issues caused excessive tyre wear and unpredictable handling. The low-floor design compromised upper-deck headroom, leaving tall passengers uncomfortable. Drivers described the Trident as feeling cheaper than older Olympians. Later versions addressed some problems, but the early reputations stuck. Many operators sold their early Tridents as soon as financially possible. The Scania N94 double-decker worked well in Scandinavia, but struggled with British conditions. The right-hand drive conversion compromised driver visibility significantly. The Scandinavian engineering clashed with British maintenance practices. Parts availability was poor compared to domestic manufacturers like Leyland or Dennis. The heating system, designed for Swedish winters, overwhelmed British summers. Drivers found the controls awkwardly positioned for UK traffic. The few operators who bought them often regretted the decision. Most were sold overseas or scrapped earlier than planned. The Wright Eclipse Gemini suffered from body flax, creating alarming creaks over rough roads. The lightweight construction compromised structural integrity over time. Door mechanisms failed regularly. Plastic panels cracked within the first year. Drivers complained about excessive wind noise. Ride quality deteriorated as suspension wore prematurely. Fleet operators found the bodies aged poorly. Promised maintenance savings never materialized. The Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 initially impressed but disappointed in long-term service. The hybrid system failed frequently and expensively. The stop-start system wore out brake components at accelerated rates. Electronic systems threw cryptic error codes requiring dealer equipment. Drivers described the handling as vague compared to hydraulic steering. Promised fuel economy rarely materialized under real conditions. Later versions improved, but early adopters paid the price. Many fleets stuck with conventional diesels after expensive hybrid experiences. The Optare Spectra entered service as a budget option and delivered exactly that experience. The fiberglass bodywork cracked around stress points within the first year. Engine compartment fires occurred with disturbing frequency in early production. The rear engine layout made driver communication with passengers nearly impossible. Heating and ventilation systems were inadequate for British weather extremes. The few operators who bought Spectras often replaced them within 5 years. The model disappeared from production, with few regretting its absence. The Neoplan Skyliner looked impressive but frustrated drivers constantly. The air suspension developed leaks that left the bus listing dangerously. Complex German electronics required specialized training that few British mechanics possessed. Replacement parts took weeks to arrive from Germany, making breakdowns catastrophic. The high-mounted driving position exhausted drivers climbing in and out repeatedly. Tour operators who bought Skyliners often switched back to British-built alternatives. The Van Hool TD900 struggled with British operating conditions from the start. Belgian build quality didn't translate well to UK maintenance practices. The low floor meant upper deck ceilings barely cleared 6 feet, causing constant head bumps. Door mechanisms jammed frequently, particularly in cold weather. The heating system struggled in winter, and cooling failed regularly in summer. Operators who tried Van Hools often returned to Dennis or Leyland within a contract period. The Volvo Olympian hybrid delivered operational headaches. Battery systems degraded rapidly. Regenerative braking felt inconsistent. Added weight reduced passenger capacity. Maintenance costs exceeded projections. Most operators concluded conventional diesels made more sense. The hybrid dream died quietly. The Alexander R-type bodywork on Olympian chassis created an unfortunate combination. The body-chassis integration was poor, causing rattles and creaks from day one. The window seals leaked, allowing rain to drip on passengers during wet weather. The interior trim fell apart faster than any contemporary competitor. The heating system either roasted or froze passengers with little middle ground. Fleet operators who specified R-type bodies often regretted not choosing ECW or Northern Counties instead. The DAF SB220 chassis disappointed universally. The Dutch engineering emphasized fuel economy over reliability, and it showed. The engines lacked power for British stop-start city driving conditions. The suspension was too soft, giving a wallowing motion that made drivers and passengers nauseous. The few UK operators who bought DAF chassis often sold them within the warranty period. Most were exported or scrapped early. The Plaxton President bodywork looked modern but functioned poorly in daily service. The large wraparound windscreen created greenhouse effects in summer heat. The complex door mechanisms jammed regularly, requiring manual override. The interior plastics faded and cracked within months of entering service. The low floor design compromised luggage space, frustrating coach operators. The bodywork developed stress cracks around mounting points prematurely. Fleet operators who chose President bodies often switched to simpler designs for subsequent orders. The Wrightbus Gemini 3 suffered from quality control problems that plagued early production. Doors that didn't seal properly let rain and wind into the passenger compartment. The electrical harnesses developed shorts that caused random system failures. The suspension mounting points cracked under normal service loads. The promised low maintenance costs never materialized as repairs became constant. Many operators who experienced early Gemini 3s avoided subsequent Wright products entirely.